So my part two on this, in relation to gardening, is types of gardening. And I was thinking about this because I was watching Zach's recent video, which I really appreciated. So I did link to that one in the description box if you'd like to go watch it later. So Zach from An American Homestead, in case you don't know who Zach is. Now, I wouldn't do everything the way he's doing it, though I have no problem with what he's doing. It's just I wouldn't do it that way because some of that I've tried and it doesn't work for me. But I didn't even try the electric culture or whatever that's called because I knew it would be an absolute waste of money and time. Absolute. And he said he did it for a couple of years and it was worthless. Now he uses what is it? He uses a special kind of weed barrier that he puts down, and that's great. You know, I've considered it. I know people around here that do it, but nah, there's a reason why I don't do it that way and why I have no interest in investing in something like that. And some of that is because, well, one, some of the weeds that come up, I want them to come back. I don't know where my borage is going to come up, you know, and I need my borage. I got to have my borage. And it just self-seeds. And so it comes up wherever. And because it's easy to pull up, if it gets too big and starts crowding out my corn or anything else, I can just take out any excess. But it also helps to feed the soil around it. And I can also do a chop and drop. And then I collect the seeds and I sell the seeds. So I was worried this year that I wasn't going to get any borage. Now, in the areas that Patrick has been tilling, nothing yet because he just did the final till. And we're done tilling. So now I just got to see if any borage is going to come up in that area. But in the outside areas that we don't till, I noticed today, I see borage popping up and I'm like, yes, I wasn't sure this year just because the chickens, I didn't plant any last year and the chickens love the borage and they eat it as soon as they see it popping out of the soil. But since they've been blocked off from the garden for, several days now, they can't eat my borage seedlings. So that's one of the reasons why I wouldn't use a ground cover. And there's other weeds. Well, borage, some people might consider it a weed because of the way it grows, but there's other, like, what is that one I just discovered last year growing in my garden? Heal all or self-heal. That I can't remember all the places that's going to be coming up. And so I want to be able to watch this stuff. I can always pull up the weeds, the things I don't want later. And there's plenty of stuff that grows fine side by side. So when I first really got serious about gardening, I was going to go all no-till here. But as the years went on, I mean, that sounds great. Just like Zach said in his video, if you did watch it, where he was talking about the back to Eden garden. And I watched Paul Gauchi's video, and he lives in Sequim, which is 75 miles from us. But their climate, even though it's only 75 miles away, very different than here. Just that 75-mile difference, because they're in the Sun Belt. And having to get that much wood chips every year or a couple times a year, that's not as easy as you would think around here. And so I kind of took elements of his idea. I took elements of the lasagna gardening idea. Like when I have started new garden areas without digging anything up, without tilling, by simply laying down layers of cardboard and or newspaper and then piling grass clippings on top and letting it break all that down and then planting stuff in it. And it did great. And I was like, well, that's cool. That's really cool. That worked really well. Of course, now, there's always going to be some kind of toxin people are going to freak out about, like the glues that might be in the cardboard or the ink. And you're always going to be dealing with something. So you can till. Some people say, don't till, don't ever till. Well, I don't agree with that. At first I did. I'm like, oh, wow, that makes a lot of sense. But then I realized at least there are certain areas of our garden that do better when we till. We get far better harvest. Things grow better when we till, and we till it several times, especially since we gave our garden a rest this last year. Everything was rested. Patrick went through there and tilled and tilled and tilled again. There was grass coming up. There was all kinds of stuff coming up in that garden. So we tilled and tilled and tilled over and over again, just a certain section of that area and a couple other small areas. But I also have areas that do not get tilled. Those are areas where I grow pretty much nothing but perennials. That's like certain areas around that main garden section in the backyard. There's a certain like strip on about 3 sides where I have nothing but perennials growing. Obviously, we're not going to till there because we got perennials growing in there and I don't want to till them up. And the same thing in my western garden, and certain sections of my front yard garden have perennials. I don't want them tilled over, but there's also a certain section of the front yard garden that really should be tilled. Now, we didn't do that this year, but that's where I grow my potatoes. But thankfully, because we put so much stuff in it last year, so much bark and stuff that we were, not bark, but wood chips that we got for free, that it stayed pretty loose. So it was pretty much a matter of just kind of turning things over a little bit with a pitchfork and a shovel. At any rate, just because someone tells you don't till, don't ever till, that doesn't necessarily mean that's right. And it might even be that that's not right for you at all, or it's right for certain things, just like it is for me. So I've been experimenting with a lot of my own ways through the years, not just, I'll take bits and pieces of what other people say, but then find what works for me, because what works for me isn't necessarily going to work for Deb down in Florida, because we're about as opposite, about as far away from each other as we can be and still be in the United States. Since I'm on the peninsula of Washington State and she's in Florida. And then people who live in the northeastern states, a lot of them can't even put in their garden yet. It's way too cold. But where we live, it's, there's things that my snow peas are coming up. My potatoes are coming up, and these are the annuals I planted so far. My pumpkins, my pumpkins have their 2 big leaves and they're starting to get their center leaves coming out. My zucchini, of course, I started them in the greenhouse. I didn't start them outside. Like I said, my tomatoes are getting ready to go in the ground now, where some people are probably harvesting tomatoes and some people haven't even started them yet. So there's so many things you have to weigh out and realize what's going to be best for you. Because as I said, for some things, no-till is best, but for some things, it's not best. I remember feeling guilty the first year that we tilled that garden after doing no-till for a few years, but we found out this isn't working anymore like this. We've got to till it under. And then after that, it's like every year now that whole section gets tilled very, very good. And we're tilling we're tilling up the slugs and stuff, and we give the chicken, the slug eggs and whatnot. Chickens get a chance to get in there and eat all those slug eggs and baby slugs and worms. And of course they have a great time. So we do that a few times. We're getting all the grass that's tried to grow in and some of the other stuff all broken up. And it's just what works best for us there. Though not all areas. There's all kinds of different styles and types, and somebody's always creating something new. And then you got a lot of YouTubers trying it, which is great. Everybody, might try something, but I wouldn't say, especially if you're already gardening and you already have a big garden, I wouldn't say take all of your garden and do only that. I would try whatever this new method is that you think could possibly work for you. I would only try it with a small area and not depend on that to be, because if you try to depend, let's say you want to go with a back to Eden garden and you do that for your whole garden, and then you find out that wasn't the best method for you. Because I've had a lot of people say that, nope, that did not work for us here. Now, for some areas, for some certain things that I grow, that would work really good and does work good. Or the lasagna gardening thing like I was talking about. And there's so many different kinds out there that, and they all have their names. And I have a friend who's got she's got 40 acres. And she's trying different things in different areas. And that's exactly how it should be done. Okay, let's try what is it called? Hugo, I never can say it. I think where you bury a log and then you put soil over it and the log breaks down. There's that. She's trying that. And it's doing okay for some things. One of the things she did this last year, now that she has sheep, is they planted sweet potatoes, which do not do well out here. But she put in a bunch of like 3 or 4 different varieties of sweet potatoes. And when they did the first shearing of their sheep, what she did was she insulated those sweet potatoes and then also put like the ground cover over them. And there was one variety in particular that did very well because she had that, the sheep's wool in there to insulate everything and keep it warmer, because sweet potatoes like a warmer climate than what we live in. That's why this isn't the best area for sweet potatoes. You always got to remember that when you're listening to other people, whether they be YouTubers or whoever, and they're some kind of influencer or whatever and content creator, and they're telling you, oh, this is the best and only way. Well, maybe it's the best and only way for them. But see, I don't even know how anyone could just have only one way to grow something when there's many different types of plants that like different types of things. Some plants, like we're talking about the rosemary and lavender, they don't like to typically get their feet wet. They don't like a whole lot of water. And even thyme's kind of that way to a degree, where some plants love lots and lots of water. Some plants will do okay somewhere in between. Some may do better with more sun. Some do better with less sun. So how you garden is going to depend on your climate, where you're growing those things, not just the climate, but where on your property you're growing your things, what your soil conditions are already like, and the types of things that you're growing. It's all going to be very different. Same as with our bodies, everything is individual, absolutely. So it's that, I always have an issue when people are saying this is the only way to do something. It's like, no, it's not. It's not. And even the way, like I said, even the way I did things, I never did my garden exactly how anyone else said this is the best way. I took elements of that idea, but also tried to look at, like, let's say the Back to Eden garden thing. Well, wood chips aren't that easy. Now, Patrick usually has a lot of wood shavings. I did make and do make use of those. But grass clippings are one of the best things for our gardens, for all areas of the garden, not just around the acid-loving things like corn and berries. But I've used grass clippings around things that tend to like a sweeter soil, like pumpkins, zucchinis, and more. And the great thing about that layer of grass clippings, especially as long as they haven't been sprayed with anything, because we can get a lot from the property right down the road. We got a lot of grassy areas. Patrick mows it. We rake it up. We bring grass clippings home, and we lay it down like a mulch layer, and that really holds in the moisture. So we're not having to water so much, and then it slowly breaks down that way. And it doesn't burn the plants. Some people say, be careful of the grass clippings because they can be too acidic and they can burn your plants. Well, it depends on how you use it. And so putting it on as a layer around plants kind of gives, especially in a cold area like this, it keeps it warmer. It kind of insulates the plants. That's why it's great around the zucchini. And as the zucchini grows and the grass clippings slowly start to break down because they're on top, not in the soil, they're on top of the soil, I don't have to worry about them burning them. I've never had that issue. And especially on top of potatoes, the potatoes absolutely love it. Just keep throwing grass clippings on top of the potatoes. Just keep throwing them on there. Now, I can tell you that's what you should do, but that might not be what you should do. I just know that works really great for us. So take everything into consideration. And that's, and then just try it out. Do experiments, and then you'll find what's going to work best for you. It's a constant process of learning, all the time learning. And things can change suddenly. You might think you have it all figured out, just like the oregano and the catmint that looked like they both completely died, but I managed to salvage some little starts. And now they're growing again and they're looking healthy. And I'm like, yay, but I might not be harvesting any. But you know what? That's okay, because I have a lot put up from previous years. So sometimes things have to change. Sometimes some of the new plants you've added, or plants that you had before that are perennials, keep getting bigger every year. And that's the other issue that I have with some things I have to keep moving around, is that some of my other plants, perennials, have gotten so big that they've shaded or crowded out certain other plants. And so I have to move those plants somewhere else where they can get more sun. Now, the other thing I wanted to say is that not just about your soil, not just about the garden styles, but let's talk a little bit about container gardening. Container gardening can be a really great way, at least, especially just to get started, no matter what size garden area you have. I think starting things in containers gives you a better idea of how something's going to grow. And then you can much easier dig it up and move it into a more permanent place if it's a perennial. And I've used several different types of pots and sizes of pots. You know, a lot of you know I have the green stock. You might notice that I no longer have the affiliate link in my description box because for some reason, and not a single word was ever said to me, they deleted my affiliate account. They just removed it. Yeah, so I removed their link because it's no good. I no longer have an affiliate with them. So if you are interested in the green stock, you'll need to buy it. Well, you don't need to buy it through somebody else, but if you want to support somebody else that is selling it and really likes it, you can go that route. Now, I had tossed around the idea for a while of getting another green stock because there's elements about it that I do like. You got the whole vertical thing going on, which is very much a space saver. And in the first couple years, my strawberries did really, really good. I was pretty happy with that. Now, I haven't tried growing anything but strawberries in it because when it comes to my deck gardens, that's mostly what I grow is strawberries because they're a little more safe from the slugs when I put them up there and the other types of bugs that like to eat them. But I find my strawberries do better in other types of pots. I mean, they do okay in the green stock, and we did add some of that broken down wood chip stuff that we got for free last year. We did like take the whole green stock apart for the first time and added some of that in, and I'm like, wow, the soil in here actually still looks really good. So that can't be why my strawberries aren't doing as good. But well, it's got more of that healthy stuff added. So they might do better this year. One thing I can say I do like about the green stock is having that dolly. Well, you only need to water the top and then the water all filters down into the bottom ones. But then because I have it on the dolly with the casters, I can turn it. I try to do a quarter turn every few days, once a week at least, so that all the way around it is getting sun, because you're going to have that backside that's not facing the sun all the time. So that is a nice thing there. I guess that was kind of it. Just wanted to share with you that, and if you want to learn more about some of my container gardening ideas, where I also have images and videos, clips and whatnot of just some different things I've tried. Some things don't do so well in some areas. Again, it's always trying different stuff. But I think it's the video I did on small space gardening or small space homesteading, or there's one I did on container gardening. And it might have been where I was talking about the blueberries, how my blueberries were doing great in the pots for like 7 or 8 years, and then they started going downhill. But we did dig up 2 of them and got them planted in the main garden. And so now I'm just filling those pots up with strawberries and pansies and nasturtiums, because the nasturtiums love growing in those big pots on my back deck. And then they'll climb up into my grapevines as well. It's pretty cool.